in the fog-choked hollows of Briar Glen, a forgotten hamlet tucked deep in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, December 2022 brought a ceaseless drizzle that blanketed the town in an oppressive grey. The ever-present mist clung to the trees like spiderwebs, shrouding every hill and shadow. Locals avoided the northern slope, a mossy incline that held the rotting bones of an old wooden shack known as Hollow Creek Cottage. Tales whispered in local bars called it cursed. They said it swallowed people whole, leaving only echoes behind. That winter, a young woman named Hannah Whitaker, newly married and brimming with the naive hope of a fresh start, moved to the nearby Shady Pines tea estate with her husband, Ben, and her aunt Rosalind, who had raised her after her mother's death. The estate seemed like paradise, rolling hills, the scent of bergamot in the air, and silence so deep it bordered on sacred. But the silence wasn't peace. It was a warning. Their log cabin, nestled between fields of mist-drenched tea bushes, was cozy and warm. Rosalind was the glue holding the new household together, her presence comforting and familiar. On a quiet, rain-drenched afternoon, Hannah sat rocking gently on the front porch, earbuds in, music soft. Rosalind had gone to borrow sugar from a neighbor's cottage at the foot of the hill. Hours passed. The sun sank. Rosalind hadn't returned. Hannah's anxiety twisted into dread as night crept over the mountains. The fog grew thicker, the kind that seemed to seep into your skin. Her thoughts turned to her mother, a sunlit memory of jasmine perfume and lullabies. She closed her eyes, conjuring her mother's face. When she opened them, a pale figure stood beyond the railing. It looked like her mother, same cheekbones, same tilt of the head, but the eyes were hollow, black voids where memory should have lived. Its mouth stretched unnaturally wide, lips cracked, skin sloughing like old wallpaper. It lifted a skeletal hand and beckoned. Then it vanished. The breath froze in Hannah's lungs. Was it a dream? A hallucination? She didn't wait to find out. She grabbed her raincoat, flashlight, and an umbrella, then stepped into the storm. The trail was a narrow strip of mud and stone, flanked on one side by jagged rock and the other by a steep drop. The mist clung tighter the farther she walked. Lightning shattered the sky, illuminating a shack tucked in a hollow she'd never noticed before. A feeble glow flickered in one window. A crooked wooden sign swung over the door. Hollow Creek Cottage. Desperate, soaked, and shivering, Hannah stepped onto the creaking porch. Looking for someone, croaked a voice. An old woman stood in the doorway, face obscured by a frayed shawl. Her presence sent a wave of nausea crawling up Hannah's throat. "Yes, my aunt. She's missing," Hannah replied. The woman's lips twitched. "Come inside. You'll catch your death out here." The interior was suffocating, damp wood, sour air, and a strange metallic tang. The old woman handed Hannah a cup of steaming tea. "Warms the bones," she rasped. Hannah sipped. It was bitter, iron-like, wrong. She tried to ask about Rosalind, but the woman dodged every question, mumbling instead about her son who lived in the back room. "He's shy, won't eat unless it's quiet," she said, disappearing behind a curtain. A moment later came the sound of scraping, metal against wood, over and over. Then came the request. "Fetch water from the well, child. My son's parched." A chill slid down Hannah's spine. Still, she took the bucket and flashlight, stepping back into the storm. Behind the cottage, the old stone well sat like a waiting mouth. As she neared it, her boot kicked something in the gravel. A silver wristwatch. Rosalind's. A birthday gift from years ago. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. Panic set in. "Where did this come from?" she demanded. The woman stood in the doorway, smiling. "A woman dropped it," she said with a shrug. "Now, the water." Sorry for the interruption. If you're still watching, please hit that subscribe button below. So, let's continue the video. Hannah's legs felt like jelly. She shone her flashlight into the well and screamed. Rosalind's body lay twisted at the bottom, her head bent at an impossible angle, eyes staring blankly upward. A rasping growl echoed from behind her. Hannah spun. The old woman was crawling forward, on all fours, her limbs contorted, mouth stretched in an animalistic grin, blood caked around her lips. "We're always so hungry," she hissed. "No one visits anymore. We must take what we can." Hannah stumbled back, slipping in the mud. The creature pounced, then stopped. A new figure materialized from the mist. Her mother, pale and ethereal, her long hair billowed in the windless air, eyes burning with something like rage. "Run, Hannah. I can't hold them for long." The old woman and the beast howled, two voices merging into a wretched scream as the apparition lunged, light flaring from her outstretched hands. Hannah bolted. She didn't look back. The trail blurred beneath her feet. Trees twisted and clawed. Rain slashed her face. And behind her, the forest howled. Somewhere, far behind, her mother's voice cried out one last time. "Run, my love." She reached the estate's security cabin and collapsed, soaked in blood and rain. When she awoke, Ben was holding her hand. Her story came out in sobs. Authorities searched the forest. The cottage, they claimed, was nothing more than a collapsed ruin. But they found Rosalind's remains, alongside others. Dozens. The oldest skeleton dated back over 70 years. Locals came forward with hushed stories of a hermit woman and her son, cursed by grief. The boy had drowned in the well, they said, and the mother's rage had torn reality apart. The cottage became a trap, feeding on sorrow and fear. Ben and Hannah left Briar Glen within the week. But sometimes, on sleepless nights, Hannah hears footsteps in the hallway, sees a flash of a pale hand outside the window, and when the rain pours hardest, she swears she hears it. "Run, my love." And somewhere in the misty hills of Briar Glen, if you dare to look hard enough, you'll find a new sign swinging in the fog. Hollow Creek Cottage. And maybe, just maybe, it's still hungry. Still watching, but not subscribed. A lot of effort goes into making these videos. When you subscribe and share, it keeps me motivated to create more. So please, make sure to subscribe.